Hello everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, back again with another massive news update. We have heavily rumoured names circulating around the internet returning for SmackDown 1000 on Tuesday, the 1000th anniversary of SmackDown. Makes me feel really old. Also, rumours of Bullet Club potentially splitting. Well, they've already split, but potentially one half of that split heading off to WWE. There's been a lot of teasing and a lot of rumours online, so we're going to take a little bit of a look at that. And also, we have two little news pieces on Impact Wrestling. One concerning the end of Bound for Glory, which if you haven't seen it, stay tuned because it was very dramatic and very controversial indeed. And secondly, they have announced their next pay-per-view, so we'll have the date and the venue for that as well. So let's crack into it and let's take a look at all of the news. First of all, according to PW Insider, a certain superstar is set to return for SmackDown 1000. And that man, to be honest, is a bit of a surprising one for me considering his recent activity. It's James Ellsworth. Now, you might think, why is that so surprising? Ellsworth came back recently to help Carmella defeat Asuka and all that sort of thing. But if you haven't seen Bound for Glory, James Ellsworth actually made a surprise appearance on that show for Impact Wrestling. He came out as the mystery opponent for Eli Drake. Didn't get too good a reception, actually. A lot of people were booing him despite him being presented as a babyface, and then eventually he lost in pretty short order to Eli Drake. But the thing about James Ellsworth, I guess, is that he might be a symbol of the increasing bond between WWE and Impact Wrestling. We know that Impact officials have met with WWE officials about 3 times, we think, over the past year or so. And this would be another example, I guess, of there not being much friction there anymore. You know, Ellsworth appeared at Bound for Glory, and just a few days later, looks likely to appear at SmackDown 1000. I think it's kind of a sign of the times in a way. And even though I'm not especially excited to see Ellsworth himself, although I do think he fulfills a certain role in WWE, I'm more excited for what this means. You know, it could open up the business and make it a lot more of a fluid place, I guess, where wrestlers can pop up in various different places, and it can all be a little bit unpredictable again. I quite like that. Now it's time to talk about the Bullet Club, specifically the Bullet Club Elite. You know, the ones like Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Cody, Adam Page, all the ones in that little faction, as opposed to the Bullet Club firing squad, Tama, Tonga Loa, and all those guys. So this is kind of an interesting one because the members of Bullet Club Elite have really been teasing that they might be heading to WWE soon. The most recent tease came courtesy of Cody Rhodes, who was appearing on Grimm's Toy Show, a YouTube channel that we are friends with. That's lovely, isn't it? Go and check out Grimm's Toy Show if you like collectibles and comedy and funny japes and stuff like that. But Cody did an interview for Grimm where he basically jokingly said that they won't even be there for All In 2 if there is an All In 2, because they'll be wrestling in WWE by that point. He did clarify afterwards that it was a joke. However, at the same time, this isn't the only incident recently which has sort of implied that they might be heading off to WWE. There's been those reports of discontent backstage at New Japan Pro Wrestling, and also Tama Tonga, who is in the other Bullet Club faction, has been tweeting things like, "See you guys in WWE, if you're not happy here, off you go, ta-ta, bye-bye." And it's just been a bit like, it's been a bit of a strange one, because that's the sort of side of my brain that's like, well, it must mean something. But then the other side of my brain's like, it's getting towards the end of the year, and if you know anything about New Japan Pro Wrestling these days, every time we get to the back end of the year, just before Wrestle Kingdom in January, this is when these sort of rumours start cropping up. Ever since that big excursion, or that big, I guess, departure of Nakamura, Styles, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, when they all left in one big lump, and that's kind of sparked every year now big rumours about potential departures. I mean, only last year, Kenny Omega was rumoured to be going to WWE, but then obviously stayed on with New Japan, became the champion. My gut instinct said that this is all just for marketing, it's all just for promotion, and it's all just to generate more hype around the Elite, because at the end of the day, when you get down to the core of it, those guys seem to be making a lot of money for themselves and a lot of success and fame for themselves on the independent scene, which would arguably be stifled if they went to WWE. And finally, let's talk about Impact Wrestling. First of all, we did cover this in What Happened Now, but I think it bears repeating. The end of Bound for Glory was very confusing indeed. Honestly, and there's been a whole debate online whether it was a work, whether it was a shoot, I honestly think that it might have been a shoot. I hope it was a shoot, and I'll explain why. So I'm about to describe what happened. If you haven't seen it, don't, because spoilers incoming. But basically, Johnny Impact defeated Austin Aries and is now the new Impact Wrestling World Champion, which is great for him, but at the same time, it wasn't all smooth sailing, because Austin Aries took a brainbuster, his own finisher, took Starship Pain, Johnny Impact's finisher, took the 3 count, and then having sustained 2 finishes in seconds, he just popped straight back up, no-sold it, shouted up at Don Callis on commentary, flipped off the fans, and walked to the back. Even Moose and Killer Cross, members of Aries' little stable, who were ringside with him, didn't walk to the back with him. They looked really confused. Now, immediately when something like this happens in wrestling, there's cries of, oh, it's a shoot, oh, it's a work chew online. And it's just kind of like, I don't know why Impact would want to do this. You know, I don't know why they'd really want to make their new champion look weak, why they'd want to go back into the dark ages of Impact Wrestling when they relied on this sort of thing far too often. I think it's more likely, given as well his recent record of falling out with certain promotions and stuff like that, that this was literally Austin Aries going into business for himself, really annoyed that he had to drop the belt and storming to the back. And if that's the case, I genuinely don't know how Impact can keep him on the roster. They can't really tolerate that, can they? But anyway, enough about that. Let's look to the future of Impact Wrestling, because on the show as well, in the middle of Bound for Glory, they announced their next pay-per-view. It's coming up on January 6th, and it will be called Homecoming. Why is it called Homecoming? Well, the venue will be the Asylum in Nashville, Tennessee, the venue that ran some of the first ever Impact Wrestling shows back when it was total non-stop action wrestling. So that's pretty cool. I like the whole homecoming theme. I really like how Impact are branching out. They're no longer confined to Orlando, Florida. They're going to Canada. They're going to New York, as they did just last night. And now they're going back to where it all began, in Tennessee. So yeah, I quite like it. I think that's nice. So that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching this news video. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to, Jack the Jobber. You can follow all of us at Cultaholic. And don't forget as well to check out our Patreon if you want, patreon.com/Cultaholic. And never forget, of course, to join us.